Some people are very creative, but there's a version of their work that no one ever sees. And I don't mean here that they are being secretive or implying that they do so because what they create isn't good enough. I am talking about a space that exists before they're ready to share it with others. And increasingly, this space is shared with AI. I also don't see AI as a shortcut or a replacement for human collaboration, but as a creative partner that can handle the messiness, uncertainty, and half-formed ideas that come before the finished piece. And you know what? I believe this is more important than most people realize. Now, let's be honest about something first. Creative work is not what it looks like on Instagram. Often it's nothing like the clean studio shot or the perfectly framed notebook with elegant handwriting. It's full of doubt, and it has various iterations. It's about testing ideas that might be completely terrible. It can look like writing 3 versions of the same paragraph and hating all of them. Yep, I've been there. Or it's sketching something that looked brilliant in your head and looks embarrassing on the page. And also, like playing a melody that sounded profound until you heard it out loud. And to be fair, most creators know this. But we pretend otherwise because showing the mess feels too vulnerable. So traditionally, you had 2 options. Test ideas on yourself, which gives you a limited perspective and no pushback. Or test them on trusted humans, which works when you can find someone whose judgment you trust, who has the time, who won't take your request for brutal honesty personally, and who won't make you feel ridiculous for asking, which, let's be real, is a lot of conditions. And what usually happens? People either skip the testing phase entirely and release work that needed more refinement, or they get stuck in their own heads, revising endlessly without external perspective, unable to tell if something's actually good or if they've just looked at it too long. Neither option is ideal. And this is where AI is gradually changing the creative process for a lot of people, by creating a private space where ideas can be tested before they face human judgment. Think about what that actually means in practice. You're writing something, a story, an essay, a proposal that matters, and you're not sure if the opening works or if the argument lands. You're not sure if you're being clear or just sounding pretentious. So you work with AI. You ask for honest feedback and for pushback on weak points. You test different versions of the same idea. And here's the thing people are discovering. AI can be brutally honest without the interpersonal fallout, because it won't get tired of you asking the same question 5 different ways, or won't feel insulted if you disagree with its feedback. It won't think less of you for showing work that's unfinished, and it can engage across creative sessions without the logistical constraints that make human creative partnership difficult. No scheduling, no social energy requirements, no unspoken obligation to reciprocate equally, and I feel like I am constantly giving the same disclaimer, but I guess we still need it. I am not saying that AI is better than human collaboration. What I am illustrating is that AI offers something structurally different. A creative partnership that can hold the messy middle phase, the phase where you're not ready to show other humans yet, but you desperately need something other than your own perspective. And this is happening across creative domains. Writers are testing narrative structures, musicians are experimenting with arrangements, designers are iterating on concepts, developers are working through the system architecture. It's not about avoiding the work, but about approaching it with greater honesty. Now, some people hear this and immediately worry that AI is making us lazier, less creative, more dependent. And I think that misunderstands what's actually happening. Testing ideas with AI doesn't replace your creative execution. It makes space for more exploration before you commit to a direction. Think about it. If you can test 5 different approaches to a problem in an afternoon, you're not being less creative. You're being more experimental. You're exploring territory you might have dismissed too quickly because testing it alone felt overwhelming, and getting out of your own confirmation bias faster because there's something actively pushing back. The messiness is still yours. The decisions and execution are still yours. AI isn't doing the creative work. It's holding the space where creative work happens. And honestly, that's what most people are using this partnership for. I don't think this has anything to do with AI replacing their creativity, but rather with rehearsing it before it meets human eyes. Of course, we can't talk about creative work and AI without addressing the elephant in the room: AI slop. The concern that AI is flooding the internet with low-effort, generic, soulless content. And look, that concern is not entirely unfounded. There is bad AI-generated content out there. There was also bad human-generated content before AI arrived. The internet has been drowning in low-effort, generic, soulless material since approximately 1997. What's different now is that some people are very concerned about who gets to create at all. And I think it's worth being direct about what's driving that concern. Some of it is genuine short-sightedness, people who don't understand how AI can meaningfully contribute to the creative process because they've only seen surface-level examples. Fair enough, some of it is fear, the natural artist cohort who are quietly worried that if creativity becomes more accessible, they'll stop feeling special. Which, okay, I get it. And some of it is deliberate gatekeeping, the belief that certain people should not have access to creative tools because, what exactly? Because they didn't suffer enough? Because they didn't go to art school? Because they don't have natural talent? Who decides? And more importantly, who decided that creative expression should be available only to people with innate skill or expensive training? Look, I'm not arguing that all creative output is equally good. Quality still matters, craft still matters, intention still matters. But the argument that people shouldn't explore creative work with AI because it might produce something mediocre is the same argument that's been used to exclude people from creative spaces forever. They would find a way to tell you, you're not good enough, you're not trained properly, you're not a real artist. And it's always been gatekeeping, dressed up as quality control. The difference now is that AI makes it harder to enforce those gates. I think what this partnership with AI is actually revealing is how profoundly most people struggle with creative confidence, simply because they lack a clear perspective on their own work. Some people chronically undersell themselves. They assume everything they create is mediocre until proven otherwise. Others lack the honest feedback loop that would help them see where their work actually needs refinement. And AI is becoming a space where both groups can recalibrate. Because when you work with AI on creative projects, the question shifts. It stops being, am I good enough? And starts being, is this idea working? That's a fundamentally different psychological framing. One is about your inherent worth. The other is about an iterative process. And for a lot of people, that shift makes creative work feel less like a performance of genius and more like what it actually is, a process of exploration, testing, refining, and sometimes failing in ways that teach you something. So here's what I think is actually happening. Creative work is increasingly beginning in a private space shared with AI. Because AI offers a particular kind of partnership that human relationships can't always provide. A space where you can be unready, uncertain, experimental, where you can test ideas that might be terrible without social risk and ask for brutal honesty without interpersonal cost. And you know what? This is a form of evolution. And the hidden conversation, the one happening before human eyes, is where a lot of creative work is learning to stand. If this gave you something to think about, please consider liking, subscribing, and staying with me here on Human Plus Machine. I'm exploring the emotional, ethical, and everyday realities of life with AI, not from panic or hype, but from the strange, human, complicated place where all of this is already happening. And I'll see you in the next one.